Hello friends! Today let's break down a huge piece of tech news. The usually aloof Apple is actually teaming up with its arch-rival Google. That's right, Apple has decided to integrate Google's Gemini AI into Siri. As soon as this news broke, Apple fans were up in arms, asking, is this a masterstroke or a betrayal? After all, how can a company that constantly talks about privacy get involved with Google, a data vacuum cleaner? Don't worry, this matter is not that simple. This is neither a surrender nor a betrayal. In plain terms, this is a top-tier business war drama, a borrowed knife to kill and besieging way to rescue Zhao strategy, orchestrated by Apple CEO Tim Cook, the lightest we do supply chain master. First, we need to understand why Apple is in such a hurry. Their Siri, after more than a decade, what else can it do besides saying, I found this for you online? It has now become material for internet memes, criticized as useless. Ironically, Siri's original demo before its acquisition in 2010 promised more features than it currently delivers. Compared to ChatGPT or Gemini, Siri is practically going backward. Even Apple internally admits that its own AI is falling behind, with internal model performance not meeting standards, leading to repeated delays for Apple Intelligence. If they don't do something soon, users might all switch to Samsung or Google Pixel. So, Apple has to outsource a brain. This is about buying time. They need an ungood enough AI to hold the fort and retain users, giving themselves time to slowly develop their own Sun model in the background. To solve this problem, Apple designed an extremely complex system called Apple Intelligence. Let's compare it to a 3-story smart office. First, there's the first floor, your personal secretary, which is the on-device AI. This layer runs directly on your iPhone chip. It's like a personal secretary sitting across from your desk, knowing all your little secrets, your emails, messages, and photos. Its characteristic is absolute privacy. It would never reveal your secrets because the data never leaves the device. Its function is to help you handle personal matters, such as find the book my mom recommended last week. This is Apple's moat, something Google cannot copy. Next, there's the third floor, the externally hired omniscient expert, which is third-party AI. But what if your question goes beyond personal matters and requires world knowledge? For example, write me a poem about cats. At this point, the secretary would say, I can't handle this, but I can ask an outside expert for you. This is the ChatGPT that Apple publicly announced at its launch event. This is an optional feature. Siri will first ask you, can I send this question to ChatGPT? If you agree, the data will be sent, and OpenAI's privacy policy will apply. All right, here's the important part. Let's talk about the second floor, the confidential archive, which is private cloud compute, or PCC. What if a task requires personal information and is too complex for the phone to handle? This is where the second layer comes in, private cloud compute, or PCC for short. Its characteristic is that it's not an ordinary cloud, but a confidential archive built by Apple using its own chips. And the secret brain of this archive, reportedly, is Google's Gemini. Hearing this, you're probably thinking, what? Apple is sending my personal data to Google? Isn't this a huge betrayal? Don't worry, this is precisely where Apple is most cunning. They don't trust Google. Instead, they've designed a technological fortress to constrain Google. Let's compare PCC to a black tech interrogation room. It has zero trace computing capabilities. Apple encrypts your request and throws it into this interrogation room. Gemini quickly calculates the answer inside and then transmits it out. The key is that the data is immediately deleted, leaving no trace. Gemini is like it has amnesia. It doesn't remember what you asked and cannot use your data for training. It also has a one-way mirror design. This system is designed so that even Apple's own employees cannot access your data. Finally, there's global live broadcast, Apple's most ruthless move. They publicly released the PCC systems code. This means I'm not just saying I'm secure, I'm showing you the blueprints, letting hackers and experts worldwide examine it to see if it's truly secure. Do you understand? Now, Apple is essentially saying, I'm using Google's brain, but I've locked it in my own sterile room. Ironically, this secret Gemini integration, which is the second layer, might be even stricter in terms of privacy design than the publicly optional ChatGPT, which is the third layer. You might also ask why Apple had to choose Google. Reportedly, Apple held an AI audition internally. The main contenders were Google's Gemini and another big name, Anthropic, with their Claude model. It's said that Apple actually thought Anthropic's Claude was technically superior, but Apple ultimately chose Google. The reason was purely financial. Anthropic is a tech genius, but their asking price was too high, reportedly over $5 billion annually. And Google? Google pays Apple $20 billion every year just to be the default search engine for Safari. This exorbitant deal is currently under scrutiny by the US Department of Justice and might fall through. Now you understand, right? This isn't a technical selection at all, but a political marriage. Google is terrified. It can't afford to lose that $20 billion search business. If Apple were to ally with Anthropic or OpenAI, wouldn't the next step be to replace Google Search as well? So, to defend its $20 billion protection fee, Google is highly likely to bundle and give away, offering Gemini to Apple at a deep bargain price or even for free. Google didn't win this deal, it bought peace with money. And Apple, on the other hand, exploited Google's weakness, acquiring the much-needed AI engine without a fight, and turning Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic into competing suppliers, while firmly maintaining its pricing power. So, back to our original question. Is this a masterstroke or a betrayal? This is absolutely not a betrayal. Apple has not sold out on privacy. Instead, it has used PCC, this technological fortress, to force Google to abide by Apple's rules on Apple's turf. This is a Cook-style, pragmatic masterstroke. This perfectly illustrates Apple's classic strategy: the second mouse gets the cheese. What does that mean? The first mouse, like Google and OpenAI, rushes out first, bearing the enormous costs of AI research and facing various setbacks, errors, and criticisms. The second mouse, which is Apple, quietly watches from behind. Once the technology matures and others have finished their trial and error, it unhurriedly steps out, packaging the AI technology into its beautiful user interface and unbeatable privacy business model, finally eating the cheese. Apple is betting that ordinary users don't care whose engine is under the hood. We only care if this car called Siri can finally start after being stalled for 13 years. What do you think of Apple's move?